Last time on Latent Legends. As you approach the end of the hall, there is an opening. A figure appears in the doorway and steps past it. I am Martin. The man pauses as his gaze drifts past you. You'll need to follow me. This place is no longer safe. Looking back, another silhouette outlines entrance from the room with the well. They look closer to a corpse than a human. Behind the figures at the end of the hall, you can see a pale yellow mask concealing its face, like that of a plague doctor. But you manage to, through strength of fear or strength of will, pull yourself quickly and dash after Martin at the end of the hallway. Welcome to the sanctuary. This is Ash, and Ash and I have been alone here for a long time.
Listen, Martin, I've been alone for a long time myself, but I would say I restrained myself to one tree.
The sanctuary is a place that was built millennia ago by people who sought to protect the world from evil. For lack of a better word, the sanctuary was, and continues to be, a prison for those things.
Can Giovanni detect evil in this room?
Though otherworldly and perhaps frightening to see, you know that this is something that is not evil, but you also sense something underneath you. And you know that that is a source of great evil and pain and suffering, the likes of which you have never experienced before.
And nor shall I plan to.
The way leaving right now is not clear. We will have to wait for whatever it is that's out there to clear.
Maybe we should rest.
The three of you drift off to sleep. You guys are leaving the world of level 2 and entering level 3. Welcome to level 3. Fight!
Y'all ready for this?
Pretty much, yeah.
Always.
Oh, did I not mention it was a fight to the death?
Oh, crap.
The person who survives gets to go to level 3.
The other two have to roll new characters.
And straight to the finale, boys.
That would be crazy if in the end we had to kill each other. That would be crazy.
Give him any ideas.
No, you guys aren't emotionally invested enough in each other's characters yet, so I have to kind of build up the bonds of brotherhood. Then you have to kill each other.
Give us like another 10 levels or so, you know.
That's right. Yeah, for the emotional climax of the finale. You draw on quarter Brendo and
But you try. I can teleport already, so.
Now this is very important. Do you mean Brendo or do you mean Brendo's character?
Mordecai specifically.
Oh.
There we go. Thank you.
Draw and quarter him, and then I stab Giovanni asleep, and then I'm just consumed with guilt.
I don't know. I don't think you'll be able to kill Giovanni, man.
I think you and I would have to team up to take Giovanni down with our
Yeah,
magic.
then you kill Brendo.
Well, when he sleeps, though. When he sleeps.
Then I just drug your mushrooms. So sneak a little bit of that senior clean into your hooch.
You can go back in your clean. Somebody is getting drawn and quartered. God damn it.
Well. Don't start recording yet. I've got you all on loudspeaker because I'm naked. I just got out of the shower.
Oh, about that.
I got some bad news for you.
What's that?
I've been recording this whole time.
Oh wow. We don't record video, so I won't know why it would matter.
You know what? That's a good point.
All right, so today, where we left off last week, you were in a kind of a sanctuary of sorts, and you went to sleep, and when you woke up, we decided that you had gone up a level. Woo! Which I know you've been wanting to do for a really long time. Over the past few days, each of you have kind of been thinking about some of the character choices you want to make. So I'd like for you to tell us a bit about what you did today. So Giovanni, let's start with you. What did you do with your character?
I believe I gained 6 HP, which is clutch, because you always want to be getting more and more HP. And after much deliberation, I decided to take the Oath of the Crown, because at level 3, a paladin gets to take a sacred oath, which gives them unique powers depending on the oath they choose.
I was going to ask, what does the oath require of you?
Well, the tenets of the Oath of the Crown are often set by a sovereign to which their oath is sworn, but generally it emphasizes the following tenets. Those being law, loyalty, courage, and responsibility. So a lot of those already line up with how I'm kind of playing the character, but more so the oath spells I obtain with this choice make a lot of sense for me.
In terms of like metagaming, that is.
Yeah, but also I just wanted to, like, since I started, I wanted to be able to pull aggro to protect my fleshy, weaker companions who aren't so strong and covered in armor like I am. So I get Compelled Dual. Get to compel a creature to duel me, and then the other one is Command, which lets me like boss things around with a one-word command. I think that one's actually going to be a lot trickier to use than it sounds, but I think it'll be a fun thing to throw into the game.
I mean, as long as you don't use it to try and kill Joel, who is a central character to this story, I think we'll be okay with Command.
I honestly I look forward to my interactions with Joel because he's just funny. Every story needs a heal,
Did you say Joel's my heel?
Other than the Lich we faced in the last thing, Joel is the greatest evil we have encountered thus far.
Yeah, you find out in the next episode Joel was actually the Lich the whole time.
I hope so.
And did you take any new spells? So at level 3, you get to take a few spells. What do you have?
Yes, I did. Detect poison and disease. I already had something like detect good and evil. That's like a built-in character trait. So I thought I'd go detect poison and disease because that seems like it'd work well with like the medical, like healer aspect kind of thing that I'm going for with Giovanni.
Maybe it'll help protect you from drinking bleach again.
Well, not me. It's more for other people.
Protect other people from drinking bleach.
Maybe this skill he's learned has basically been a manifestation of his stupid trial and error style experimentation.
It's evolution, really, is what it is. You had to do that in order to survive.
Yeah, and we have protection from evil and good also.
Okay, yeah, you got protection from evil and good. How does that work?
To be completely honest, I picked it because it was very useful in a D&D based video game I played where it was like the only way to deal with high level enemies.
Is there anything else?
Yeah, there's the channel Divinity, which gives me, they literally sound like magic cards. There's Champion Challenge, which as a bonus action, I get to issue a challenge that compels other creatures to do battle with me. So I think this will let me rabble rouse, essentially.
Well, also, and kind of help pull people away, perhaps, from your fleshy counterparts.
I could see this being interesting to use in like a tavern brawl.
Okay.
I don't know. Because I'd be interested to see how it works on like undead creatures or stuff like that,
Well, we'll see. Yeah, won't we?
And then there's Turn of the Tide, which as a bonus action, I can bolster injured creatures with my channel Divinity. So Turn of the Tide basically lets me give some health to my fleshy friends when they're not feeling so good.
And when you're at these low levels, like, it's really helpful to just have a little extra health, especially if somebody jumps into the middle of you and casts, like, I don't know, Thunder Wave or something and damages a bunch of your friends all at the same time.
I don't know why, but I've always had this disdain and aversion to healing potions for some reason. I've never liked them in any game, any video games. I always thought they were kind of like cheap, but for some reason, healing magic is like really cool to me. I think it's
It's like developing like a heroin addiction, right? If you have healing potions, like you don't want to be dependent on healing potions.
Yeah, they just seem like another tool you got to keep track of too, and like I feel like they're not as compelling as a story object either, where it's like, I'll just drink this potion. It's way cooler to lay upon hands and summon some mystical energy to do the same thing, essentially. Leveling up is one of my favorite parts of Dungeons and Dragons. It's very cool.
Yeah, and it makes the most compelling podcast episodes too.
I was literally trying to explain it to my girlfriend's brother today, and he just was so confused by the whole thing. He's like, wait, so what are you doing later? I'm like, oh, I'm leveling up my character. And he's like, he's never played Dungeons and Dragons before. And I was like, man, this is really hard to translate. I wonder how Josh is going to like make this into a podcast.
So I take it he hasn't listened to the podcast yet?
No, not yet. But I was telling him about it. He's like, that sounds really cool.
What's his name? Tell me his name right now.
Jackson. His name's Jackson.
Jackson? Hey, if you make it this far, congratulations, man. Thanks for listening to the podcast for this long. But if you stop, I'll know. I'll ask John.
You know what? I don't think he's going to listen so much that, Jackson, if you get to this point, I will literally give you $100 bill. he's such a not nerd, but he's really into a lot of nerdy stuff. But I was trying to like his brain like couldn't process Dungeons and Dragons. He was like, so you play it on a table, right? And I'm like, well, you could, but you could also play it in the theater of your mind. And I think that's where I lost it. I just really like saying the theater of your mind and like really confusing people. But,
Imagination.
yeah, yeah.
All right, so that sounds great, Giovanni. Let's see what the other guys are doing. Val, what you leveled up level 3 druid, so you stuck in your class. What cool stuff happened?
A few things actually. So I'm a little less fleshy, but I got a little like a shred of meat on those bones. I got bumped from 12 to 21 hit points respectively, so that was good. And I finally have some spells that aren't just social spells. I can actually do some damage. So I still have animal friendship, speak with animals, love the animals.
Very important.
Very important.
It looks like you have a new level 1 spell, Cure Wounds.
Yep.
Which I think is maybe taken for obvious reasons.
Lack of Giovanni laying his hands on me, so I have to lay hands on myself apparently. Giovanni style.
One time. Don't lay your hands one time.
One time.
I think my favorite line is like, I think they made their fucking electrical beds and they can sleep in them as he heals himself.
I think it was something to that. I think it was something to that effect. So I can help myself, help the squad a little bit. I had resistance. That's just kind of a buff to myself or my friends. And I added, with this level, I added poison spray, mostly because it sounds like something that the Joker would do. Like cartoon Batman, like with the little, on his lapel.
Nice. It's nice to have an attack cantrip too, because you could just kind of cast those willy-nilly,
yes,
for lack of a better word.
Yes, you don't want to be fighting with a spear when you're like just built of ribs and you have like the physical fortitude of like an 8-year-old girl. So it's nice. It's nice to have some so that you can use. Of course, 10 feet is pretty close though. So rounding it out, we have Moonbeam, which is insanely cool.
Yeah, so you got a couple level 2 spells as a result of moving up to 3rd level, and you got some. You took some really cool attack spells.
So Moonbeam is kind of like that James Bond movie where they have that sun laser where they call it down on the ice palace and stuff.
Die Another Day.
Thank you.
Die Another Day.
Thank you. Kind of like that weapon in Die Another Day where you can just suddenly like laser somebody from space. But it's the moon's power, not the sun's power. And it's not quite as powerful, but it's pretty cool. And I rounded it out with Flame Blade because I could not say no to Flame Blade. So 10 minutes with a flaming scimitar in your free hand. I mean, I don't even need to explain that, I don't think.
Those are some pretty awesome spells. But as a druid that enters 3rd level, you also, well, I guess actually at 2nd level, you're supposed to choose a circle. Which is kind of like the, druidic heritage that you belong to.
Almost from an elemental or from a natural area almost, eh?
Yeah, and you decided to take Circle of the Shepherd, which has some pretty cool stuff. The first thing, at 2nd level, you get Speech of the Woods, which means that you can kind of communicate with a lot of beasts and many fey creatures that speak Sylvan. But also, at 2nd level, you get the ability to call forth nature spirits and use them to influence the world around you. Have you looked into any of that at all?
Yeah, that's like the bull, the bear, the cat.
The ones I'm seeing are bear, hawk, and unicorn. I don't know how unicorn made its way in there, but it's there.
Yeah, I know. Spirit totem. And so they basically, it's just different buffs, different perks to the party. Yeah.
It creates an aura around itself that gives certain types of effects. So like if you summon the bear spirit, you get a +5 to strength saving throws while you're in its aura. So is that about it for Val, or what else is there?
That's about it. It's nice. It's nice to have some things where you don't have to go in and hand to hand, where you really can't afford to go hand to hand with anybody.
The huge step ups for your character really in going to 3 is like getting a Cure Wounds spell, so you can try and heal people, and then also maybe some spells to make sure you're not on the front lines. All right, Mordecai, you went up level 3 into Sorcerer. What happened to you there?
Well, the first thing that happened, and probably the biggest thing that happened, was he's also not as squishy anymore. He's now up to 20 hit points. Second coolest thing is Mordecai can finally start dipping into Metamagic. He got to pick 2 ways that he can influence his spells. The first one, thanks to the little mishap we had with the rat people and my Thunderwave that went everywhere.
Yeah, it was a misunderstanding with the rat folk. It was just a misunderstanding.
Yep.
You were in the wrong place at the wrong time. They got electrocuted. Also, Giovanni and Val got electrocuted. It was just, just communication when it breaks down like that.
Exactly right. I decided to take the first metamagic called Careful Spell. When you cast a spell that forces other creatures to make a saving throw, you can protect some of those creatures from the spell's full force by expending a sorcery point. I have 3 of those points now. So if I ever have one of those mishaps, I can protect 2 compatriots there. The other one I picked up was Twinned Spell. We had the fight with the automatons. I can't remember whether it was you that said it or whether it was me with the double finger gunning spells.
Yeah.
Just really like that image.
Yeah.
So with this, I can actually do that.
That's right up your alley.
Right? So when you cast a spell that only targets 1 creature, I can spend a number of sorcery points equal to the level of the spell to force it to go towards 2 targets instead.
Nice. I mean, that just kind of makes the spells that you have right now a little bit more a little bit more hit to them.
The way I see it is like Mordecai's starting to trust these 2 now. So instead of just looking out for me, now I've got to look out for 2 other people. Might as well be able to hit more people to make sure that they're safe, right? So
it may also be that for the first time in a long time, Mordecai is feeling perhaps a little bit more secure. He has a job, a place to sleep, and he's starting, maybe his doors of his mind are starting to open up again. And he's starting to remember maybe a few of the old tricks he used to have when he was a court magician.
Yeah. Speaking of which, some old tricks, I was able to pick up another spell. One of them actually came with the feat that I got before, but it wasn't unlocked until now. It's called Chaos Bolt, which is really neat.
Okay. What does that do?
You hurl an undulating, warbling mass of chaotic energy at 1 creature within range. If you roll the same number on both d8s, the chaotic energy leaps from the target to a different creature of your choice within 30 feet of the first target.
Oh, cool. It's kind of like a chain lightning attack if it goes well.
Exactly.
My only hope is that this never backfires at some point in the future. And I don't know, say you end up doing damage to John and then it jumps off of John and ends up hitting Ben.
I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Well, we hope.
It says leaps from the target to a different creature of your choice.
All right.
Unless I pick one of those 2. Should be okay.
Or unless something chaotic happens.
Oh, that's right. Yes. The other thing, the actual spell that I chose was Suggestion, because it's right up Mordecai's alley. It's kind of like
suggest them to give you more money.
Exactly. Right. So I can suggest a course of activity limited to 1 or 2 sentences top and magically influence a creature within range.
I'm really kind of worried about the citizens of Renlin now that you and Giovanni both have suggestion abilities. And I'm concerned about what's going to happen as a result of you guys telling people what to do. Like the economy is going to go to
I feel like it's just like, Mordecai would ask for a pay raise or to get out of certain debts or, just the little things that he can't normally talk his way out of with his standard charisma.
Okay. All right.
I feel like our complimentary suggestions will balance each other out for the greater good.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
So is that everything that happens to Mordecai for 3rd level?
Yeah, that's everything.
Well, that sounds great. So it seems like you guys are all kind of stepping a little bit more into your characters, which is great because we've seen the last few episodes that you're all rather squishy, and it's nice to see that you're taking steps to kind of unsquish yourselves. Hello everyone, sorry to interrupt the action, but I just have a few announcements to make. Again, thanks to everyone who's been listening to the last few podcast episodes. It's super exciting to see these episodes coming out and people listening to them, and people seem to like them a lot. If you're interested in becoming a character in Leighton Legends, please like and share this podcast on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram with the hashtag LateandLegends, lowercase, all one word. You can tell we haven't had a lot of new characters in the last episode, but I do have a lot of characters coming up, so lots of names will be needed. Please share this podcast, and you might find yourself in the adventure. I'm also going to be taking items for the Garrison Storehouse. You might remember in episode 3, the guys were skimming through a bunch of junk that Nathan, the storehouse clerk, had. I want to get a list of listener-generated items going that the guys can look through and buy. If you've got a good idea for a piece of armor, weapon, tool, or the like, send an email to lateandlegends@outlook.com with the item name, a description of it, and maybe some stats. It shouldn't be anything too powerful, and it can't be related to Giovanni's sacred object. I'll handle that. Additionally, I've set up a Patreon page for the podcast where listeners who are interested in donating to the podcast can throw in a few bucks. You can find it at patreon.com/LatenLegends. There's no pressure to do so, but there are a few perks that you can get by donating, besides just a general feeling of warmth and satisfaction knowing that you helped a bunch of poor podcast fantasy actors, writers, people. Yeah. For $3 a month, we'll include your name in a patron shout-out at the end of each episode. For $5 a month, you get early access to the episodes before they even come out, as well as the patron shout-out. Everyone out here on the internet is suckers, waiting until Wednesday to get their Latent Legends fix. But you don't have to do that. You'll get access to each episode sometimes several days before they're supposed to come out. And for $15 a month, not only will you get the patron shout-out, not only will you get early access to all of the episodes, but we'll also provide you a one-time fan message. You know this spot here, right here in the middle of the episode where I make announcements? You could have your very own message, assuming it's nothing really rude. I'm happy to do that for you. Or I could even strong-arm one of the other guys into doing it. Whatever you want, you've earned it. There's no pressure to stick around if you don't want to, and you can cancel your patronage whenever you'd like. So that's it for announcements. Let's get back into the action. So, you guys wake up after falling asleep under the branches of ash. You had curled up in some wool blankets that Martin had provided you with, and you wake up sometime later. You're not quite sure how long it's been, but you see that there is now a bit of a fire in front of you, kind of like a morning cook fire, and sitting next to it is Martin, the man from the day before. And he has a pot that is roasting over some of the coals on the fire. Based off of your experience with camping, you can kind of smell it as a nice morning coffee brew. It's daylight. You did go to sleep in this weird sanctuary, and you can't really tell the difference in terms of brightness in the room, but it sort of feels like you're coming on the other side, or you're waking up on the other side of twilight now.
Good morning, Sanctuary. Another glorious day to live in this world. What is that? Is that some sort of mixed blend espresso mixture concocting over that campfire?
No, it's just coffee. I'll get you guys some cups. And Martin kind of turns away from the fire after being kind of startled with Giovanni's very explicit awakening, and picks up some cups off of a nearby desk and then walks back and sets them down by himself as the coffee continues to boil on the fire in front of him. How'd you boys sleep?
Wonderful.
Wonderfully.
Wonderful to slumber in the safety of nature.
5 more minutes.
You're one of those fucking hippie kids, aren't you? Sleep in till noon, start work at half the day's over.
Oh, I'm homeless.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, I've been there myself.
It's just a really nice cot, man. I'm gonna take advantage of it.
Also, how do you know what time of day it is here?
It varies. I mean, I stopped kind of paying attention after a while. The light mostly stays the same, but fortunately the alcoves can go as dark as you need them to be. I just kind of go to sleep when I need to.
Yet you seem to besmirch my companion for requesting another 5 minutes of irrelevant time.
You know what? I guess I misspoke there. I suppose that's a little rude of me.
Yo, don't harass the old man, okay?
Sorry, I'm just remembering my sacred vows this morning. It's a very invigorating experience for me. I feel ready to strike out at the evil we witnessed the day before. Sorry, the 1/14th of a fortnight before.
That's a weird way to measure time. I mean, for someone who just said 5 minutes ago, you seem to have a weird a way of thinking about time.
I won't lie to you. I've given up on the finer points of the fortnight. After the 14th, it gets very hard to distinguish.
Fair enough. You mentioned an oath. Are you a paladin?
Yes, can you not tell by my outrageous behavior?
Well, no. Let's just say that I don't keep a lot of company here.
Yes, just you and this very strange tree you have some sort of undefined relationship with. I understand that, being a member of the sacred object. That's totally fine. You do you, man. Yes, what would you like to know about my sacred oath? I mean, I like to keep these things secret, but if you compel me to speak about it, I will.
No, I'm good. You don't have to tell me anything you don't want to.
Well, it's kind of cool, you see. It's like I pledge allegiance to this the sacred object here, and it gives me these cool new powers, which I feel like I'm so inspired to. I'm just so down to go right now. Can you open that portal? I want to face that lynch. I want to rip his throat out for justice.
So, Martin, the old man at the fire, kind of turns to you when you mention an object, your devotion to an object, and he says, "So you don't follow any particular god?
No, I follow the tenets of the sacred object.
Sacred object? I'm not familiar."
It's more of a philosopher's religion. It's not as direct, I'd say, as some of the simpler ones. Like, I don't want to name the other gods of the realm. You know, you don't want to take pot shots unnecessarily at other people's trivial and, quite frankly, silly religions.
No, I guess I sort of understand that. I mean, mine's more from a sensitivity perspective, and not so much a taking hot shots perspective. I can't really turn down anyone who worships a different god than me. That being said, so you don't worship a god, you worship an object.
Not per se. I mean, the object could be a god. Who knows? I'm not one to infer what the object's potential could be.
So you don't even know what the object is. It's just a question mark?
Well, it's not a well, it might be a question mark. We don't actually know. But the thing is, the not knowing is what gives us the strength to pursue the better versions of ourselves. It's a complicated religion.
Yeah, it sounds philosophically dense. Like it seems like you're jumping through a lot of loops.
You could spend years upon years, and I have, in various sanctuaries, trying to gain a deeper understanding and knowledge of it. And the more you think you understand, the more the mysteries of the object unravel before you splayed out in all their glory.
Your name's Giovanni, right? You told me that yesterday. How old are you?
I believe I am 29,000 fortnights. I'll have to redo the math on that. If you allow me to check my dream journal, I keep track of it in there. I mean, my agenda. If you allow me to check that, I'll be able to tell you.
Could you? I mean, I'm used to using years. What would that be in years?
Let me do a quick calculation for you here. So we got 360.
Don't forget to carry the 2.
So it's 746 fortnights. How many days are in a fortnight? Is 14 for you.
I think you know,
people?
Right? That's your business.
I know, but it gets so hard to keep track of. I'm about 10,000 days old.
All right. Martin seems to he looks a little confused, and it seems like this is a very taxing conversation for him.
Or if you prefer, 250,000 hours in your measurement. I just don't. These aren't metrics and terms. I only use them to try to translate and quantify. But if you've ever tried to learn another language, you would understand it's kind of difficult.
No, I understand. I speak a few myself. A quick question though. So you measure everything in fortnights?
Yes. Well, I try to.
I mean, everything in fortnights?
Well, no. It's the fortnights is the measurement of time.
Okay, I was going to ask about distance, but like you even measure like hours of a day in terms of their fraction of a fortnight.
Yes. Well, to be completely honest, gets kind of hard to maintain a calendar based on fortnights living in a modern society. So
Yeah, it seems a little bit complicated. Why do you do that?
it's one of the sacred objects, many mysteries. The more you try to understand it, the more you understand less. It's beautiful if you take the time to think about it.
I think I understand what you're saying in a weird way, I guess. That was kind of a little weird conversation. You guys want some coffee, I guess?
Yes, please, good sir.
Like Mordecai was trying to listen along, pulled out his water skin, forgetting that it was full of Mage's Aqua, and drank it.
Really? Did you do that, Mordecai? Mordecai, did you drink from that water skin?
I did. Yeah, I completely forgot. Full of Mage's Aqua with a pinch of Senior Clean in it.
Mordecai, you take 4 points of damage.
Oh, crap. Oh, no. Forgot all about that.
Good Lord, Mordecai, what has befallen you, writhing in the bed like that?
Get him some coffee, stat.
Oh, sorry. Forgot that it wasn't water.
Yeah, here, have some coffee to wash it down. Martin looks over at the fire and he picks up the pot that's been resting on some coals and he pours the liquid that's in it into 4 mugs and passes you one of them.
Thanks. Oh, gotta get that taste out.
He picks up his own mug and he reaches into one of the folds of the robe that he's wearing and he pulls out a little flask and pours it into his mug, kind of turns to you and says, "You want some?"
I don't mind if I do. Oh,
I can guarantee it's not Mage's Aqua.
well, I guess the object, right? For that, huh?
I'm sorry, did you say object?
Sorry, I didn't, try to be kosher here.
So, you boys were in the sewers.
You can thank Joel for that.
Joel, who's Joel?
Captain of the guard, our employer.
He's not the captain. Come on, the guy's a schmutz.
That's
I think he was like a lieutenant or I don't know. He got there just before we did.
That Joel is a complete and total wad. That is all I have to say.
Yeah, I've worked with a few unpleasant people in my line of work too.
What's your line of work? Because all we know is that you're a nice guy with booze and a tree.
Well, what more do you need to know, right?
All right, whatever.
A couple of things. Just a couple.
Martin, just if you could just enlighten us as to what perhaps it is that you do, and why this wonderful sanctuary is in the sewer of all places.
Well, I think I mentioned to you guys before you went to bed that this isn't any one particular place. This is the sanctuary. I mean, maybe it was in your sewers, but it's been in several places before. It's a prison for things that are better left held away from the world.
It keeps evil underneath in the roots, like ash.
Evil and all kinds of things that are bad for the world. Many dark things lie here.
You had mentioned that this sanctuary has been other places before. How is it that this room or this location can move?
It's tough to say. The people who created this place, they had to forge an anchor that held all the planes of existence in one area. And that is a violation of nature. And you can't do that without causing a few unforeseen behaviors of the place. This has many great assets to it, beyond being just a prison for evil, for lack of a better word. But one of the side effects is that it occasionally moves around. That we happen to be in sewers right now is, I think, one of the grossest places I've been. I don't mind telling you that.
Not going to lie, 98% of that has gone way over my head. My only question concerns the door. What is securing it and preventing it from opening back up to the sewer?
Well, there's a lot of fallback defenses, I suppose, beyond just the sanctuary itself. If anything ever broke free in here, there are things that help keep things bound in this realm, and there are things that help keep things away from this realm.
Good.
In this case, it seems there's a lot of runic evidence. You no doubt saw it yourself as you were entering this place.
Indeed.
They looked awfully familiar.
Well, I can see that you yourself have many of the runes tattooed on yourself.
You read this?
Yeah, that's celestial.
Crap.
Did you not know that you had celestial tattooed on yourself?
Okay, follow-up question. Do you have a celestial to, let's say, common dictionary kicking around in here?
Well, I think I have one somewhere. I can tell you that one actually reads chicken soup. I don't know what you thought. What did that mean to you? Did you want chicken soup tattooed on you?
Peace or something? I don't know.
That's what happens when you get tattooed at the Lazy Dragon, Mordecai.
To be fair, out of all the soups to get tattooed upon thy arm, not a bad choice.
I'm partial to it.
Thank you. Oh, it's been a long time since I've had to read Celestial. I just wanted to see if I could bone up on it.
Yeah, I got a book around here somewhere. He steps up from his seat at the fire and he walks over to a bookshelf that's right behind him. And he kind of goes through it a little bit, looks down, and then he sees a book, pulls it out, and then comes back to the fire and tosses it over to you. There you go, a celestial to common translation.
Thank you.
No problem.
I'm just going to get right to work crypting my arms.
Yes, maybe you'll even get a recipe out of the other one. I do say, Martin, do you have any sort of update or inclination as to when we will be freed from this prison room to potentially face that awful lynch?
It's tough to say. I don't know if you're ready. When I woke up this morning, there were a few things still out there, but I could check again in a few minutes. So let me finish my coffee.
I mean, we don't necessarily have to go out to the Lich right now. We could get topside somehow. That would be great.
Yeah, that would be great.
What if we climb the tree?
I wouldn't advise it. It's a long way to fall down, but also there's no top. So it's not like you're going to crawl out onto the surface. This isn't a particular place, boys. This isn't underneath, I guess, the city that you're in. You're not going to climb up a couple stories and then pop your head out a manhole or something.
Or elf hole.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Sorry, that's my fault. I meant a being hole.
No, I meant a hole specifically for elves.
Is that a sexual thing?
No, I'm gonna drink some of this coffee now.
All right. Martin actually kind of leans over and just pours a little bit of his mystery drink into yours.
All of the interdimensional conversations have kind of like tripped Giovanni's brain a little bit. He's had a night full of crazy dreams and remembrances of oaths and things like that. So he's feeling very elated, but also exhausted, despite being rested.
You look elated, but also exhausted. I can get that.
Quite.
All right, let me level with you guys. I've been here for a while. The elf over there, Val, was it?
Yeah.
You asked me what I do here. I'm a warden, and Ash keeps what I find held here. My job is, I suppose, to find the bad things out there and bind them in here. But I'm getting old. I didn't start this job by myself. I had friends, and I've been here for a long time. And I'm starting to realize that I'm not cut out for this anymore. I have a lot of strength still left to me, but the doctor out there, I knew he was out there, but I was worried that I wouldn't be able to hold him. I need help.
Perhaps if we joined forces.
Giovanni, you'd help?
Sorry, I took your dramatic pause as being the end of your rambly, tired monologue.
Yeah, I suppose it was that.
Would we be able to assist you in vanquishing this foe?
You would be able to help me bind them here. I'm not hopeful about vanquishing this foe. It's not my job to vanquish things, but to bind them here. And maybe you can help me do that. Just out of curiosity, where are we?
I believe Renlin.
Renlin. I don't recall a Renlin in the Commonwealth, I assume. An easy answer would be yes for you guys.
What?
So the Commonwealth refers to perhaps a...
Of course!
Well, I'm not really too sure, to be honest. So I'm from out of town.
Mordecai's not even paying attention. He's reading the book.
So we have one nobleman's son who just has never paid attention to politics. We have one elf. He doesn't even know where he is right now because he's just used to the woods. And we have one sorcerer who is too interested in a book trying to translate the tattoos on his arm in order to make any kind of meaningful interaction.
When you cloud your mind of so much of the inner politics of the order, you don't have time to learn things like the basic land name.
Or simple geography.
Especially not that.
So I'm going to assume that we're in the Commonwealth still. I knew of a Renland once, but it was a small town. I guess things have changed since then. No doubt with the doctor here, people have probably gone missing.
No one that I know, but I believe one of Val's vagabond vagrant friends was one of those abominations.
His name is Trevor, Giovanni.
His name doesn't matter anymore. The guy's dead.
Trevor.
I'm sorry to hear that, Val. It's not easy losing a friend. All right, so it seems that he's set up shop here. We'll have to figure out where his phylactery is, and then we'll have to stab him with one of these crystals. And he pulls out a crystal. It's about the size of his forearm. It's actually quite long, but it's very sharp at one of the ends. So this is how I typically bind people to this spot. You just have to kind of whittle them down, and then if you're able to make contact with the crystal here, it's able to pull them, bind them to the spot, and Ash wrestles them in place.
Can I do a Arcana or a history to see if I recognize the word phylactery?
Yeah, so you're going to want to make a Arcana check.
Okay.
Finally, the first roll of the session, guys. We just do a bunch of number talk, and then we do some storytelling, and finally we have a roll.
Theater of the mind, baby.
Got a 10.
Okay, so you're not really sure what a phylactery is, not based off of your experience working in the university or your experience as a magician. It sounds sort of like perhaps a workshop of sorts. So like an arcanist would have an arcanist's forge. You're not quite sure what a phylactery is, though.
Okay.
So Martin continues on. So we'll have to stab him with this crystal here, and that'll pull him here. I'm going to level with you guys, though. This is, it's not easy. I've taken down a few bad things in my time, and they've all been a struggle in their own ways. But a lich is it's a pretty tough one. And from what I know about the doctor, it's not going to be easy.
You have our support the entire way, good sir. Anything to vanquish an evil.
Well, I've been out of the game for a while, and we're in a city or a town or whatever that I'm not familiar with. So I'm very much going to be relying on you to see what you can find out about the doctor, people missing, a phylactery. I'll need you to be my eyes on the ground, for lack of a better word. And then when we strike, we'll work together. We'll try to take him down quick.
Would it be beneficial to employ the services of our fellow guardsmen of the city?
Well, if you can get them to sign up, I wouldn't mind the help, but
I don't know if they're even gonna believe us, guys. Like,
A great evil will befall our entire city and destroy it unless we do something to stop it. Surely there must be some there. Not everyone is a Joel.
these guys deal with small things like buskers and horse parking violations. Okay.
If we don't put a stop to this lynch, there won't be horses to park or violations to sigil.
Horses to park. All right. The past couple times I've had to go out looking for villains, I haven't had a good time convincing any locals to try and help me, which is quite remarkable considering that I have you here offering me your help. I've tried a few times. I've spoken to people, but most folk don't want to see the truth when the truth is uncomfortably frightening. The sanctuary was built to make people safe, but from my experience, it's only made them ignorant and unwilling to face the facts. The facts being that evil is made and that locking it away in a place like this doesn't mean it's gone for good. A lot of locals I expect that you try to talk to, or at least from my experience, they're probably not going to believe you. You could try, but I haven't had good experience with it. In fact, it's gone pretty sour on a few occasions.
Al, question. Where was the last place you saw that? What was his name? Trevor.
Trevor.
Where was the last place you saw him before we saw him dead?
Outside of Bolster's office. It's hard to say now, but it would be at least.
Wait a minute. Wait. What were you doing outside of Bolster's office?
Ooh, busted. I'm also employed with Bolster.
Oh, okay. Doing what?
Well, to be honest,
I mean, I get the odd jobs now and then, but I mean, I'm a very talented magician, and I can make people do what I want when I want them to.
well,
I'm scared of poop.
this may be true. This may be true, Maury. I also run odd jobs, if you must know, and I have a different set of skills entirely. So,
Insight check. I want to see if he's telling me the truth.
Just to let you know, it doesn't sound like he said anything untrue, but you're welcome to make an insight check, Mordecai, if you'd like to.
Really do. Feel like I can read people, but we'll see how the roll goes. 17.
You pick up that Val is telling you the truth, but you feel like he's kind of talking around something he's not mentioning.
All right. Who is this booster fella you men are discussing? Is he some sort of other guardman commander that you have taken employment from?
He's not what you would call a respectable business owner. Remember when I was talking about my debt?
Yes.
That's the guy.
Ah, I see.
He's kind of one of those, I don't want to say like crime boss. I mean, I don't really have another title for what he does.
This reeks of villainy and unrighteous lawbreaking.
You do what you can when you live out on the street, man. Val, I guess coming from the woods and whatnot, you don't really have any other contacts in town.
safe to say,
Uh-huh.
I believe it was one of Bolster's men who approached me upon coming to Fair Renlin. Obviously, elf out of work, little in the way of social skills, no friends. We're open to work and an invitation for some camaraderie.
I take his words at like face value, but in the back of my head, I'm just like, I'm gonna wait until I figure out what's going on, and then I'm gonna pin this guy. I've been screwed over in the past.
Give me a moment here. Val, I want you to make a deception check.
Ooh.
It's not that you are actively deceiving Mordecai. You are sort of dancing around the truth here. You know that you have an agenda.
Yep.
And you have to kind of play to that. Let's see how well you're able to do that.
That's a 10.
All right, Mordecai, I'd like you to make a bit of an insight check to see if there's anything you pick up on here in Val's speaking to you.
I have a 14.
You can tell that he's leaving something left unsaid. You're not quite sure what that is, but it's up to you what you want to do with that information.
I'm just gonna let it sit and stew for now.
Okay.
I'm gonna wait until I've got some sort of evidence before I do anything.
I find the fact that most of my party has had made dealings with this crime boss quite unnerving, and I look forward to meeting him in person to have a discussion about his chosen profession.
Okay, so boys, what's the plan here?
I know for me, I don't know about you guys, but I gotta get topside. I gotta pay this guy off, or my ass is grass.
Yeah, to say nothing of Mordecai's debt for one, but certainly if we are going to face down the lich, we should at least inform Joel. I don't know how long it's been or how long we've been in the sewers or the sanctuary, but someone is going to be looking for us.
He must be beside himself.
It's been at least hours, perhaps days. So we should definitely check in with the guard and report our findings, what we found so far, and what we aim to complete down here. So Martin, to answer your question, I feel that I'm with Mordecai, and I think getting topside and leaving the sanctuary just for the time being might be our top priority, as soon as it's safe, of course.
Yeah, certainly it's tough to wrestle evil inside the sanctuary. We got to get out there.
Are you implying that there's a way to leave and return willingly to Renlin from the sanctuary?
I expect so, unless anything significant has changed.
Then what are we still doing here?
Well, I think that we were just kind of waiting out the doctor's people.
You're a peculiar man, Martin. Quite
To
peculiar.
be fair, we're all peculiar.
Thanks, I guess.
Speak for yourself.
Has Mordecai made any headway in that dictionary, or is it gonna take him a couple days?
It might take you a bit to kind of work your way through that dictionary. It is an extensive book, and unless you are actually fluent in Celestial...
I am.
So then why did you need the dictionary?
He hasn't had to use Celestial living out on the streets. It's gotten rusty.
Okay. All right. Well,
Who else
that's
is going to speak it?
Makes sense from character development perspective.
yeah, that makes sense. So you have some experience with Celestial. It might take you a few days to kind of skim through a lot of the phrases. A lot of the grammar has been unused in a long time for you. So it's going to take you a little bit to kind of work your way through some of the stuff I guess you had written on your arms. Though it's kind of curious that you yourself, who has spoken Celestial, has Celestial tattooed on you, doesn't remember how to speak it, but I guess we'll tackle that later. You know, maybe you just need some time to kind of reacquaint yourself with the language and the script. But I expect it might take you a few days.
Okay. That's good.
All right, boys. So how I see this working out is you're going to go check out this area you last saw Trevor. Maybe you can find some kind of trail that led him to where he is now. Maybe that'll let us get an idea about maybe where this doctor's phylactery is.
Yes, the phylactery. The phylactery. What exactly is a phylactery?
All right. So every lich has a place, has their own spot where they kind of set up shop. And this is, well, for lack of a better word, this is where they do their liches, based off of what I told you yesterday. They meddle in a lot of dark arts, and they work with a lot of undead, and they try to raise the dead in order to kind of work them into their army is not the right word, but into their group of guards, I suppose. And the phylactery is their home base. It's also the place where if a lich were to die, or if their corporeal form were to cease to be, it's where a lich goes to recreate itself.
Okay.
So the spirit leaves the body and it pops back up in another shell. We could try and kill the doctor, which I think is an impossible task. But if we killed him outside of his phylactery, he's just going to pop right back up in a shell there.
Mordecai rips out one of the pages that he thinks is useless from the book, and he starts drawing a diagram for Giovanni so he understands it better.
Listen, don't ruin my books. Those are important. I lent you a book. Don't with my books, okay?
Want us to kill the thing? The big guy's got to understand what's going on.
I have spare paper. You don't need to destroy my books.
All right. Sorry. All right.
Back to your explanation. Corporeal. What does that mean?
Oh, God.
I'm just kidding. I'm just pulling your leg, Martin. I'm not that dumb. I understand the word corporeal. And I believe the word you were looking for to define his guards is cadre of fanatics.
I guess that makes sense. They're not really fanatics, though, since they're corpses that are enslaved to him.
Cadre of the undead, perhaps.
I guess that makes more sense.
Excellent.
Animated amigos.
Giovanni's just really smug about that whole exchange. He's feeling really good about easily in one big word.
Martin notices, and he walks over to his work desk. It has a lot of writing on it, and it has a few spare sheets of paper. You can notice, Mordecai?
Oh, yeah.
Empty blank sheets of paper over there.
Look at that.
He grabs one of those sheets of paper, but he also opens a drawer on one of the desks, and he pulls out a couple stones. And they sort of look like obsidian to you. But unlike obsidian, they're matte black. They're not shiny. They don't reflect anything. And he picks them up, and he hands them to each of you. And there's a single rune that is carved on each of them that you don't quite recognize. It's in a language you don't understand. And he hands them and he says, all right, so these are stones of far speech, and they allow me to communicate with you over a great distance. I need you to go out, collect information based off of activity in your city, people missing. But we also have to start thinking about how we're going to take down this lich. We don't really have to kill them, but we do have to get them to a point where they're hurt enough to be able to penetrate them with this crystal shard. And he shows you the shard again that's in his hand.
Okay.
I imagine that Ash is going to be here for a bit. So over the next few days, send in reports to me if you got them. Talk amongst yourselves, see what you can find. If you're able to talk to the guard and see if you can enlist them, that's great, but I'm not hopeful. It might just be up to us, boys.
Great.
Hold your tongue. I'll be quite the persuasive presence when called upon to do righteousness.
And yet I'm not convinced.
I'm going to save my rolls for a more prominent time. I'm not going to waste my time with Martin here and his crystal shard that you better give to me because I don't think anyone else is even going to get close to this lich.
No, I'm going to hold on to the crystal.
For now.
Listen, I like you guys, but I think I'm going to hold on to the crystal for now.
Shall we be off then?
With that, Martin steps up from his seat at the fireside after passing you the stones of far speech and also taking back that book on celestial language because he's a little bit upset that you have been ripping pages out of it. He does hand you a spare sheet of paper, though, so you can do your notes on that. But he gets up from his seat at the fireplace there and he walks over to the entrance and says, "All right, it looks like it's clear. You boys head out. Contact me when you can. I'll be here."
How do the stones work?
Figure it out later. I gotta go.
Hello? Hello? Father? Mother? Sister? How do I make the communication?
Mordecai, I want you to roll an insight check.
Activate stone magic.
That's a 5 because I'm not paying attention. He's walking towards the door.
It seemed that Mordecai wanted to move on and perhaps he had experience with these. But no, Mordecai, unfortunately, when you were in university, a lot of new kids would come into school and they would have like the new Stone of Far Speech. And they'd be like, "Oh, check out my new Stone of Far Speech." And it would have like a new rune on it. And you didn't quite understand because unfortunately, when you were going to school, you weren't able to afford the newest model of Stone of Far Speech when it first came out.
I was still using ravens.
But you do recognize that it is a long distance communication device.
I'll figure it out as we go.
Magic stone, summon a raven to communicate. Is this how? Martin, do you hear me?
Gio, I'm literally like 10 feet away. I can hear you.
Martin, is the stone work?
Martin actually reaches into his pocket and pulls out another Stone of Far Speech and holds it up to him and says, "You're an idiot."
Ah, great to hear you.
So you'll be able
Good
to...
name!
All right, you know what? Get the fuck out of my sanctuary.
Hey, Marty, do you have any plans later?
I think I'm just going to stay and watch a puppet show.
Very cool, very cool. Let me know if that changes. You know how the stone works now, so you can reach me on it whenever.
Yeah, I'll send you a message on my tablet.
Thank you for everything. It's been a wonderful experience.
Okay, with that, Martin stands up and he goes over to the door, says it's all clear, and he says, "All right, I'll hear from you guys hopefully within a day or two. Let me know how it goes."
Sooner than that, Marty. Sooner than that.
I'm gonna lean over to Giovanni and be like,
Hey, you know what? I think we're his favorites. Just putting that out there. That guy likes us.
"You're the only guys I know right now, so yeah, I guess you are."
Thank you for your hospitality, Martin.
Yeah, we're gonna have to sort out our names here. Your name's Mordecai, I'm Martin. We're not both Morty.
But my name has the great in it.
My name is Giovanni de Chambray. Leave a stone message after the beep.
Suddenly there's a gust of wind. You don't know quite where it's coming from. You feel like this wind is just pushing at your backs and it's like pushing you out through this door into the sanctuary.
Martin, we're being blown away by a mystical wind. You look so perturbed. Ah!
Before we leave, I want to take a second here to kind of discuss where I see this campaign going from here. If you guys decide to work with Martin for this quest, you guys are opening a door into a different kind of adventure. Not necessarily Dungeons and Dragons-esque, where you go into a dungeon, you investigate each room, and then you fight the boss at the end of it. This is going to change some of the gameplay. There are going to be monsters that you're going to come up against where you're not going to be able to fight them. It's not someone that you can go in and just tank and spank, heal your characters as best you can, and try to make your way in killing this boss at the end of this fight. It's not going to happen because these guys are way too strong. and I've made them specifically too strong. And in terms of the story, they're supposed to be very difficult. You're not going to be able to kill them. And I think that Martin has done his best at trying to express to you that these are evils that you yourselves cannot vanquish, but they're things that you can hold. So what you have to do with this character, the Doctor, is you have to think perhaps outside of the realm of just going in and hitting them as hard as you can to try and defeat them. I want you to use what assets you think your character has accrued in Renlin. I want you to investigate things within Renlin to see if there are things that you can try and manipulate in order to help you defeat these creatures that you're going to go up against. That means you might be setting traps. You might be trying to enlist others to help you. It might be that you're spending time trying to create equipment or armor that's going to help you defeat them. The main point that I want to get across is that you're not going to be able to fight these and win. You have to figure out another way in order to entrap these creatures. And you might spend several episodes kind of setting up, this is what we're doing, this is who I talked to the other day, this is the person I want to discuss things with, in order to develop the story of how you're going to try and trap these creatures.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to our podcast. The next part will be coming out next week, and I plan on sticking to a weekly schedule where episodes will be released every Wednesday mid-morning. If you're interested in hearing more about us, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Anchor, or Patreon as Leighton Legends. We'll see you next week. One last thing before we go. We have to make a shout out to our patrons. That's right, Leighton Legends has sold out, baby. Our first patron is Paula, dear friend of the show. Thank you so much, Paula. It is such a pleasure to have you as our patron, and it is super exciting that you're supporting us on this journey, and it's really special that you're the first person here who's being our patron. So thank you so much. Additionally, thank you to our newest patron, Ethan, who literally signed up a second ago right before I was about to release this episode, so I have to now include his name. Thank you, Ethan. Thank you so very much. If you're like Paula and Ethan and want to support the show, be sure to check out our Patreon page. We'd love to have your help. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope you have a good day. See ya. Remember, if you enjoy our content, please subscribe and hit the notification bell for up-to-date notifications on all of our adventures.